The alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. Lily Chen opened her eyes before the second ring. She didn't hesitate. She never did. The house was still quiet, wrapped in the cold calm of early morning. Carefully, she slipped out of bed so she wouldn't wake Ethan Liu. He slept facing the other side, as always. For a moment, Lily paused and looked at his back. Her eyes were soft, but tired. Then she turned away. In the kitchen, Lily moved like she had done this 1,000 times. Because she had. She prepared breakfast, light porridge, steamed buns, and carefully cut fruit. Everything was arranged neatly on the table. At 6:30, Grace Liu walked in. She glanced at the table, then at Lily. "Too bland," Grace said, sitting down. "Your cooking never improves." Lily lowered her head slightly. "I'll adjust it tomorrow, Mom." Grace didn't respond. She had already started eating. At 7 o'clock, Mia Liu rushed downstairs, scrolling on her phone. "Lily, where's my white shirt? I told you I needed it today." "It's ironed and in your room," Lily replied gently. Mia rolled her eyes. "Next time, bring it to me. I'm already late." She grabbed toast and left without another word. Lily stood still for a moment. Then she quietly went to prepare Ethan's coffee. At 7:30, Ethan finally came downstairs. He was dressed perfectly, his expression calm and distant. He sat down, picked up his coffee, and took a sip. "Too sweet," he said. Lily paused. "I'll make another." "No need." That was all. No greeting. No eye contact. Just routine. After breakfast, Ethan picked up his coat. "I'll be late tonight," he said. Lily nodded. "Okay." She wanted to say something more. She always did. But the words never came out. The door closed behind him. And the house felt emptier than before. By afternoon, Lily finally sat down for the first time. But the moment didn't last long. A sudden cough shook her body. She covered her mouth, her shoulders trembling slightly. When she looked at her hand, there was a faint trace of blood. She stared at it silently. Then, she wiped it away. At the hospital, the doctor's voice was calm but heavy. "You should have come earlier," he said. Lily sat quietly, her hands folded. "Your condition is serious. You need treatment immediately." She nodded. "Does your family know?" Lily hesitated. Then she smiled faintly. "No, they're busy." That evening, Lily stood in front of the mirror. Her face looked pale. But she still put on light makeup. Carefully. As if nothing was wrong. She checked the time. 8 p.m. Tonight was their wedding anniversary. The table was filled with dishes she had spent all afternoon preparing. Everything Ethan liked. She sat and waited. 9 p.m. The food grew cold. 10:30 p.m. The lights in the dining room felt too bright. Lily stared at the empty chair across from her. Her phone remained silent. 11:45 p.m. Finally, her phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. "Busy. Don't wait." Lily looked at the words. For a long time. Then, she smiled. But her eyes didn't. She stood up slowly and began clearing the table. Dish by dish. Carefully. Quietly. Like always. Days passed. Her coughing grew worse. Her body weaker. But nothing in the house changed. Grace still criticized her. Mia still relied on her. Ethan still didn't notice her. One night, Lily collapsed in the kitchen. The plate shattered on the floor. For once, the house was loud. At the hospital, everything felt distant. Voices echoed. Lights blurred. Ethan finally arrived. But he stood outside the room for a moment before entering. When he saw her, something felt different. She looked smaller. Weaker. Like someone he didn't know. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked. Lily looked at him. For the first time in a long time, she didn't smile. "I thought you were busy." Ethan frowned slightly, as if he didn't understand. The silence between them felt heavier than anything else. A few days later. It ended quietly, just like her life. At the funeral, the sky was grey. People whispered. Grace cried loudly. Mia looked shocked. Ethan stood still, wearing black. His expression unreadable. Someone said, "She was such a good wife." Another said, "She did everything for this family." Ethan looked at the photo in front of him. Lily was smiling in it. Soft, gentle, warm, just like always. For a brief moment, he felt something strange in his chest. But it passed too quickly to understand. That night, he returned home. The house was clean, organized, silent. He opened the wardrobe. His clothes were neatly arranged, exactly the way she used to do it. For the first time, something felt off. But he didn't know what it was. Back in darkness, Lily slowly opened her eyes. The sunlight felt different, warmer. She sat up suddenly, her breathing uneven, her heart racing. She looked around. The room, the furniture, everything. Her voice trembled. This is. Her eyes widened. 10 years ago. The sunlight felt too bright. Lily Chen sat frozen on the bed, her fingers gripping the blanket tightly. Her breathing was uneven. This is impossible. She looked around again. The room was familiar, but not in the way memories usually were. It was real. The pale curtains, the wooden desk, the small crack near the window frame. Everything was exactly the same. Exactly like 10 years ago. Her body trembled as she rushed to the mirror. The woman staring back at her looked younger, healthier, alive. Lily slowly raised her hand, touching her cheek as if afraid the image would disappear. Tears filled her eyes. "I'm alive." A knock came from outside. "Lily, are you still sleeping? Hurry up, or you'll be late." It was her mother's voice. Warm, familiar, alive. Lily's heart clenched. Without thinking, she ran to open the door. Her mother stood there, slightly annoyed but clearly worried. "Why are you staring at me like that?" she asked. Before she could react, Lily stepped forward and hugged her tightly. Her mother froze. "What's wrong with you today?" Lily buried her face in her shoulder, her voice shaking. "Nothing. I just had a bad dream." But she knew. It wasn't a dream. It was a life she had already lived. That entire day, Lily moved in a daze. Fragments of memory flooded her mind. The cold dinners. The empty nights. The hospital room. The funeral. Ethan standing there, distant, even then. By evening, she sat quietly in her room. The truth slowly settled in her heart. I went back. Back to before everything began. Before the marriage. Before the pain. Her hands tightened. Her eyes, once soft and full of longing, slowly grew calm, clear, and distant. "This time," she whispered softly, "I won't love him." A few days later, the Liu family came with a marriage proposal. Just like before, nothing had changed. In her previous life, Lily had been nervous, hopeful, even shy. She believed marriage meant love would grow. She believed patience would be rewarded. She believed, wrong. Now, she sat calmly in the living room. Her posture straight. Her expression unreadable. Ethan Liu walked in. Tall. Composed. Cold. Exactly as she remembered. Their eyes met. For a brief second, something flickered in Lily's gaze. Not love. Not anger. Just emptiness. Ethan paused slightly. Something about her felt different. But he couldn't explain it. "Miss Chen," he said politely. Lily nodded. "Mr. Liu." Their conversation was simple. Formal. Like strangers discussing a contract. "Marriage is a responsibility," Ethan said. "I hope we can respect each other's roles." In her previous life, those words had made her nervous. Now, Lily smiled faintly. "I agree." There was no hesitation. No expectation. No hope. And just like that, the marriage was decided. After the wedding, Lily entered the Liu household again. The same house. The same people. The same life. But she was no longer the same woman. The next morning, the alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. Lily opened her eyes. She stared at the ceiling for a moment. Then, she turned off the alarm and closed her eyes again. When she woke up, it was already 8 a.m. Downstairs, Grace's voice was sharp. "Lily, why is breakfast not ready?" Lily walked down slowly, calmly. "I didn't make it," she said. The room fell silent. Grace stared at her in disbelief. "What did you say?" "I said, I didn't make breakfast." Her tone was polite, but firm. Mia frowned. "What's wrong with you today?" Lily looked at them, her expression gentle but distant. "You can order food. It's faster." Grace slammed the table. "This is your responsibility." In the past, Lily would have immediately apologized. Today, she didn't. "I have work," Lily said simply. "I'll be leaving soon." Without waiting for a response, she turned and walked out. The door closed. Inside the house, the silence felt unfamiliar. Ethan stood by the stairs, watching everything. His brows furrowed slightly. Something was off. At work, Lily felt something she hadn't felt in years. Freedom. She sat at her desk, focused and calm. No pressure. No expectations. No need to please anyone. "Excuse me, are you new here?" A voice interrupted her thoughts. Lily looked up. A man stood there, smiling gently. "Daniel Shu," he said, extending his hand. Lily hesitated for a moment. Then she shook it. "Lily Chen." Unlike others, his gaze was warm, respectful. "Let me know if you need any help," Daniel said. Lily nodded. "Thank you." For the first time in a long time, her smile was real. That evening, Ethan returned home. He walked into the dining room. The table was empty. No food. No warm lights. No waiting figure. Just silence. He frowned slightly. "Where is she?" "Out," Grace said coldly. "Your wife has changed." Ethan didn't respond. But something about the empty space in front of him felt strangely uncomfortable. Later that night, Lily returned. Ethan was sitting in the living room. "You're late," he said. Lily nodded. "I had work." That was all. She walked past him. Without stopping. Without asking. Without caring. Ethan watched her figure disappear down the hallway. His expression remained calm. But his fingers tightened slightly. For the first time, he noticed something missing. Something he couldn't name. Upstairs, Lily closed her door. She leaned against it quietly. Her eyes slowly closed. No tears. No pain. No expectations. Just peace. She whispered softly, "I'm finally free." Morning light slipped quietly through the curtains. Ethan Liu opened his eyes. For a moment, everything felt normal. Silent. Still. Controlled. Then something felt off. He sat up slowly. The other side of the bed was empty. Cold. It wasn't unusual. Lily had been leaving early these days. But for some reason. He frowned. Downstairs, the house was quieter than usual. Too quiet. Ethan walked into the dining room. The table was empty. No breakfast. No neatly arranged dishes. No soft voice saying, "You should eat before you go." Just a clean, untouched surface. Grace sat on the sofa, clearly irritated. She didn't make anything again, she complained. What kind of wife behaves like this? Ethan didn't respond immediately. He simply adjusted his sleeve. "I'll eat outside." His tone was calm. But as he walked out, he glanced once more at the empty table. At the office, Ethan sat in a meeting, listening to reports. Everything was efficient, precise, under control. But halfway through, he suddenly realized something strange. No one had reminded him about this meeting. He paused. 4 years. Lily had always done that. Quietly. Without being asked. His expression darkened slightly. "Continue," he said coldly. Across the city, Lily Chen sat at her desk, focused on her work. Her movements were steady, confident. "Lily, can you check this file?" Daniel Shu leaned slightly over her desk. She nodded. Give me a minute. Her tone was calm, professional, but softer than how she spoke at home. Daniel smiled faintly. You're really reliable. Lily paused. The word felt unfamiliar. Reliable. Not expected. Not obligated. She looked at the document again. I just do my job. Daniel didn't push further, but his gaze lingered for a moment longer. Back at the Liu house, Mia stood in her room, frustrated. Where is my dress? She searched everywhere, but nothing was prepared. Nothing was organized. Lily, she shouted instinctively. Then she stopped. The room remained silent. For the first time, Mia realized something. Lily wasn't coming. Downstairs, Grace struggled with the kitchen. The porridge was too thick. The vegetables overcooked. She frowned deeply. How did she make it look so easy? But she quickly shook the thought away. She just had more time. Still, the irritation didn't fade. That evening, Ethan returned home earlier than usual. He didn't know why. Perhaps the office felt too quiet. Or perhaps he just didn't want to stay there. He stepped inside. The house was silent. Again. He loosened his tie slightly. His gaze swept across the room. Something was missing. He sat on the sofa. Waited. Minutes passed. Then an hour. The clock ticked louder than usual. Finally, the door opened. Lily walked in. She looked slightly tired but calm. When she saw Ethan, she paused briefly. Then nodded. You're home early. Ethan studied her. Her tone was polite, but distant. I finished work early, he said. Lily nodded again. No further questions. No have you eaten? No should I prepare something? Just silence. She walked toward the kitchen. Ethan watched her. Are you cooking? He asked. Lily stopped. Then turned slightly. No, she said simply. I already ate. Ethan's brows furrowed. What about us? The words came out before he could stop them. Lily looked at him. For a brief moment. Their eyes met. Then she spoke calmly. There's food delivery. No emotion. No hesitation. Just a solution. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. It wasn't anger. But it wasn't comfortable either. That night, Ethan stood in front of his wardrobe. He opened it. His shirts were there. But not arranged the way they used to be. Not perfectly aligned. Not carefully sorted. Just normal. His hand paused. For some reason. He remembered something. A faint image. Lily standing quietly, organizing his clothes late at night. He had walked past her. Without even looking, Ethan closed the wardrobe. His expression grew colder. Unnecessary, he muttered. But his movements slowed. At the same time, in her room, Lily sat by the window. The night breeze was cool, gentle. She held a cup of warm tea. Her expression was peaceful. No waiting. No worrying. No silent hope. Just quiet. Her phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. Good work today. Don't overwork yourself. Lily looked at the message. Then replied simply. Thank you. You too. A small smile appeared on her face. Not forced. Not practiced. Real. Back in the hallway. Ethan passed by her door. He paused. Through the small gap. He saw her sitting there. Relaxed. Smiling. But not for him. His gaze darkened slightly. For the first time. Something unfamiliar rose in his chest. Not anger. Not annoyance. Something heavier. He turned away quickly. But the image stayed in his mind. When did she? He murmured softly. When did she stop looking at me? The question lingered. Unanswered. And for the first time, the silence in the house didn't feel peaceful. It felt empty. The rain fell steadily outside. Soft at first, then heavier. Inside the Liu house, the sound of raindrops echoed faintly against the windows. Ethan Liu stood in the living room, his phone in his hand. His screen was still lit. A message remained unanswered. Will you be home for dinner? He had typed it 10 minutes ago. But Lily hadn't replied. Ethan stared at the message for a moment longer. Then locked his phone. His expression calm. But his fingers tightened slightly. In the past, Lily would have replied instantly. No matter how busy she was. No matter where she was. Now. Nothing. Upstairs, Grace's voice echoed. This is getting ridiculous. Ethan walked up slowly. Grace stood in the hallway, clearly upset. Your wife has no sense of responsibility anymore, she said sharply. She comes and goes as she pleases. Ethan didn't respond immediately. She doesn't cook. She doesn't take care of the house. What exactly is she doing? Ethan's gaze shifted slightly. She's working, he said calmly. Grace scoffed. Working? That's just an excuse. A woman's duty is her family. For a moment. Ethan said nothing. Then, quietly, she didn't seem to have a problem doing both before. Grace paused. Surprised. Ethan turned away. He didn't realize it himself. But that sentence was the first time he had ever defended Lily. Later that evening, the front door opened. Lily stepped inside, holding a small umbrella. Raindrops clung to her coat. She looked slightly tired. But her expression remained calm. Ethan was already sitting in the living room. You're late, he said. Lily nodded slightly. It was raining. She walked past him. But this time, Ethan spoke again. Did you eat? Lily paused. The question felt unfamiliar. She turned slightly. Yes. A simple answer. Then she continued walking. Ethan frowned. Something about that exchange felt wrong. Too short. Too distant. In the past, she would have asked him the same question. Waited for his answer. Then gone to prepare something. Now. Nothing. That night, Ethan sat alone in the dining room. A delivery box sat in front of him. Unopened. He stared at it for a long time. Then suddenly, he pushed it aside. The sound echoed in the quiet room. Frustration rose in his chest. But he didn't know why. Upstairs, Lily was drying her hair. Her phone rang. Hello. Still awake. It was Daniel. Lily smiled faintly. I just got home. You should rest early, Daniel said. You looked tired today. I'm fine. There was a short pause. Then Daniel spoke again. By the way, you handled that client really well today. Lily leaned slightly against the wall. Thank you. Her voice softened. You're different from when you first joined, Daniel added. Lily paused. Different? Yeah, he said gently. You seem lighter. Lily didn't respond immediately. Her eyes lowered slightly. Lighter. Was that what this feeling was? Freedom. Meanwhile, outside her door, Ethan stood still. He hadn't meant to stop. But when he heard her voice, he did. Through the door, he heard her tone. Soft. Warm. Not the calm politeness she used with him. Something inside him tightened. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Lily said softly. Then the call ended. Ethan stepped back quietly, his expression dark. Unreadable. The next morning, the alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. Ethan opened his eyes. For a brief moment, he thought he heard movement beside him. But when he turned, the space was empty. Again. He sat up slowly. Something felt unsettling. Downstairs, Grace was already complaining. I can't live like this anymore, she muttered. This house is falling apart. Mia sat quietly, scrolling her phone. But even she looked less confident than before. Ethan walked in. No breakfast. No Lily. He picked up his coat. Then paused. Where is she? Mia glanced up. At work, I guess. Ethan frowned slightly. So early. Without a word. He turned and left. At the office, Ethan tried to focus. But small things kept bothering him. His tie felt slightly off. His schedule felt disorganized. His day, incomplete. Finally, he stood up abruptly. I'm stepping out, he said. His assistant looked surprised. Ethan never left in the middle of work. But he didn't explain. Outside, the sky was still grey. Without thinking, he drove. And before he realized it, he was standing in front of Lily's office building. Ethan stopped. His expression hardened slightly. What am I doing? This made no sense. But his feet didn't move. After a moment, he stepped inside. From a distance, he saw her. Lily stood near the entrance. She was talking to someone. Daniel. They were standing close. Not too close, but comfortable. Lily smiled. Not the polite smile she gave at home, but something softer, warmer, real. Ethan's gaze froze. The world around him seemed to quiet. For a moment, he couldn't look away. Then, Daniel said something. Lily laughed. A light, genuine laugh. Ethan's chest tightened sharply. Something unfamiliar, something sharp, spread through him. He didn't like it. Not at all. His hands clenched slowly. Lily. Her name felt strange on his lips. Heavy. Unfamiliar. He turned away suddenly. His steps quick. Controlled. But his mind was anything but calm. For the first time, Ethan Lou realized something. He didn't understand his wife anymore. And worse, he didn't know when he had lost her. The night felt heavier than usual. Ethan Lou sat alone in his car, parked across the street from Lily's office building. The engine was off. The silence inside the car was suffocating. His hands rested on the steering wheel, unmoving. But his mind was anything but still. The image replayed again and again. Lily, smiling, laughing, standing beside another man. That expression. He had never seen it before. Or perhaps, he had simply never noticed. Ethan closed his eyes briefly. A faint memory surfaced. Lily standing by the dining table, looking at him quietly, her lips curved in a soft smile. Did something good happen today? She had once asked. He had walked past her, without answering. The memory faded. Ethan's grip tightened. When did it start? When did she stop trying? When did she stop looking at him like that? Or had he been the one who ended it? The thought lingered. Uncomfortable. Heavy. Back at the Lou house, Grace sat in the living room, her expression dark. This can't continue, she said. She's completely out of control now. Mia remained silent for once. Grace turned to Ethan, who had just entered. You need to talk to her, she insisted. She's your wife. Ethan loosened his tie slowly. What do you want me to say? He asked calmly. Grace frowned. Tell her to come back to her responsibilities. Ethan looked at her. His gaze steady. She fulfilled them before, he said. Grace paused. And what did we do? Ethan added quietly. The room fell silent. Grace opened her mouth, but no words came out. Mia looked down, her expression uneasy. For the first time, the question hung in the air. What had they done? Upstairs, Lily sat by her desk, reviewing documents. Her expression was calm, focused. Her phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. Did you get home safely? Lily replied simply, yes. Thank you. A moment later, another message. Do you want to grab lunch tomorrow? Lily paused. Her fingers hovered over the screen. She wasn't surprised. Daniel had always been gentle, careful, respectful. Not once had he crossed a line, but the meaning behind his actions was becoming clearer. Lily slowly typed. Okay. Then she put her phone down. Her expression remained calm. But somewhere deep inside, something shifted. Not love, but possibility. The next morning, Ethan stood in the kitchen, alone. He looked at the ingredients on the counter. Vegetables, rice, simple things. He hesitated, then picked up a knife. His movements were slow, unfamiliar. After a few minutes, he stopped. The vegetables were unevenly cut. The rice wasn't washed properly. Ethan frowned slightly. How did she do this every day? The question felt heavier than expected. He set the knife down. For the first time, he realized something clearly. What he had taken for granted was never simple. That evening, Lily returned home. She paused slightly when she entered the dining room. The table was set. Not perfectly, but clearly prepared. Ethan stood there. "This is for you," he said. Lily looked at the table, then at him. Her expression didn't change. "Thank you," she said politely. She sat down, took a bite. "It's good." Her tone was calm, neutral. No warmth, no surprise, just acknowledgement. Ethan watched her. Something inside him sank slightly. He had expected something more, but he didn't know what. After dinner, Lily stood up. "I have work to finish," she said. Then she left. Just like that. Ethan remained at the table, the dishes untouched, the silence heavier than before. Later that night, Ethan stood outside Lily's door. He hesitated, then knocked. "Come in," Lily's voice came. He opened the door. She sat at her desk, focused. She didn't look up immediately. "What is it?" she asked. Ethan paused. For the first time, he didn't know how to start. "Why are you like this now?" The question came out low. Lily stopped writing. Slowly, she looked up. Their eyes met. Her gaze was calm, clear, not emotional, not defensive, just honest. After a moment, she spoke. "Because I learned something." Ethan frowned slightly. "What?" Lily held his gaze, her voice steady. "I learned how it feels to be unloved." The words fell quietly, but they hit harder than anything else. Ethan froze. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. Images flooded his mind. Her waiting at the table, her soft voice, her quiet presence. All the times he had ignored her, dismissed her, treated her like nothing. Ethan's hand clenched slowly. "I didn't." He stopped. Because suddenly, he realized something. It didn't matter what he intended. What mattered was what she felt. And what she felt was real. Lily looked away first. "I'm not angry," she said calmly. "I just don't feel anything anymore." Silence filled the room. Heavy, unforgiving. Ethan stood there. For the first time, he felt it clearly. Not discomfort, not confusion, but something deeper. Regret. Real. Sharp. Unavoidable. Lily turned back to her work. The conversation was over. But for Ethan, it had only just begun. The house was quiet. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that echoed with everything left unsaid. Ethan Liu stood alone in the study. A thin file lay open in his hands. Medical records. His fingers tightened slightly as his eyes scanned the page again. Diagnosis. Treatment recommendation. Dates. The earliest date was years ago. Before her collapse. Before anyone noticed. Before he noticed. Ethan's breathing slowed. Heavy. Uneven. She knew. His voice was barely above a whisper. She was sick, all along. A memory surfaced. Lily coughing softly in the kitchen. Turning away quickly. Smiling like nothing was wrong. Another. Her pale face under warm light. Still preparing dinner. Still waiting. Ethan closed the file. His hand trembled slightly. "And I." He couldn't finish the sentence. Because the truth was already clear. He had been there. But never with her. That night. Rain began to fall again. Soft. Steady. Lily stood by the window in her room. The city lights blurred through the glass. Her reflection looked calm. Peaceful. But not empty. Her phone buzzed. "Are you okay?" It was Daniel. Lily read the message quietly. Then typed. "I'm fine." After a pause, another message came. "If you ever need someone, I'm here." Lily looked at the words for a long time. Her expression softened slightly. "Thank you." She put her phone down. Not rushing. Not deciding. Just acknowledging. A knock came at her door. Lily turned. Come in. The door opened slowly. Ethan stood there. For a moment. Neither of them spoke. The distance between them felt longer than ever. Ethan stepped inside. His usual composure. Gone. In its place. Something raw. Something unfamiliar. I found it, he said quietly. Lily didn't ask what. She already knew. The hospital records, he continued. Silence. You were sick, back then. Lily looked at him. Her expression didn't change. Yes. Just one word. Simple. But it carried years of quiet suffering. Ethan's throat tightened. Why didn't you tell me? The question came out broken. Lily's gaze remained steady. I did. Ethan froze. What? Lily tilted her head slightly. I tried to. Her voice was calm. But you were always busy. The words weren't sharp. They didn't accuse. And somehow, that made them hurt more. Ethan stepped back slightly. Memories flooded in. Moments he had dismissed. Ignored. Forgotten. Each one. Now painfully clear. He started. But the words wouldn't come. Because for the first time, he had no defense. Only truth. I didn't know how to love you. The confession was quiet. Honest. I thought, providing was enough. His voice trembled slightly. I thought you would always be there. Lily watched him. Her eyes calm. But not cold. Just distant. Ethan took a step forward. For the first time. I understand. His voice lowered. What it means to lose someone. A pause. And what it means to regret it. The room fell silent. Rain tapped softly against the window. Lily closed her eyes briefly. Then opened them again. I don't hate you, she said. Ethan looked up. I don't blame you anymore either. Her voice was gentle. But firm. I just can't go back. The words landed softly. But they were final. Ethan's chest tightened. Is there no chance? For the first time. There was hesitation in his voice. Not pride. Not control. Just hope. Fragile. Lily looked at him for a long moment. Then slowly, she shook her head. Love doesn't disappear all at once, she said. It fades, little by little. Her gaze softened slightly. By the time you notice it's gone. A pause. It's already too late. Ethan lowered his eyes. His hands clenched slowly. But he didn't argue. Because deep down, he knew. She was right. Days later, the house felt different. Not tense. Not heavy. Just quiet. But this time, it wasn't empty. It was simply moving on. Grace spoke less. Mia became more independent. And Ethan changed. Not dramatically, but quietly. He started doing things himself. Cooking. Cleaning. Remembering small details. Not because someone asked him to. But because now, he understood their value. One afternoon, Lily stood outside the house. A small suitcase beside her. Ethan stood a few steps away. Neither of them spoke at first. The wind was gentle. The moment calm. I'm moving out, Lily said softly. Ethan nodded. I know. No argument. No resistance. Just acceptance. Lily looked at him. For everything, thank you. Ethan's eyes flickered slightly. I should be the one saying that. A faint pause. Take care of yourself. Lily gave a small nod. Then turned. And walked away. Step by step. Without hesitation. Without looking back. Ethan stood there. Watching her figure grow smaller. Until it disappeared completely. The space she left behind. Remained. But this time. He understood it. Fully. And for the first time. He felt it clearly. Not confusion. Not discomfort. But something deep. Something lasting. Regret. Real. Quiet. Unchangeable. Ethan looked down at his empty hands. And whispered softly. I learned how to love. A pause. Just too late. Across the street. Lily walked forward. The sunlight fell gently on her face. Her steps steady. Her expression calm. Not broken. Not lost. But free. Her phone buzzed. Lunch today? Daniel's message appeared. Lily looked at it. Then smiled. Soft. Real. She typed. Okay. And continued walking. Without turning back.